In the 1990s, women in Accra were being hunted. One by one, their bodies turned up across the city, strangled. No witnesses, no answers. And for years, no one knew who was doing it. Growing up, Nollywood movies dominated Ghanaian TV screens. And one thing they loved to show us: ritual killings. There was this particularly widely watched movie, Billionaires Club. The plot was basically that a regular man struggling to survive meets his now wealthy friend. He gets introduced to this secret society, and before he knows it, he's sacrificing everything, even his own family. There's a particularly staggering scene I've never been able to forget. The leader of the group takes off his hat, and underneath there's a rotten wound at the core of his scalp. It had maggots feasting on it.
Make money? All right, you wait. Can you see that? Okay.
And yet, he was still alive, seemingly in great health. The scene stuck with me because it didn't feel like just a movie. It felt like something that was possible, that was actually happening in real life. Many African societies, even till today, believe in spirits, witchcraft, juju, and ritual killings. There's a strong belief that when people kill, it's usually not out of anger nor out of madness, but for power, for money, for success. So when in the 1990s, women started turning up dead in Accra, people thought they already knew what was happening. Ritual killers. But they were wrong. Because what Ghana was about to face was something far more terrifying. A serial killer. One who appeared to kill merely for the enjoyment of it. This was something that many did not think was possible at the time. This is the story of the Accra Strangler. Between 1993 and 2000, a pattern began to emerge. Women were dying. Actually, they were being murdered. And it wasn't just a handful. It was dozens of women. Their bodies were found in different parts of Accra, and even sometimes in Kumasi as well. Most of them were women who worked late into the night. Traders, street vendors, sex workers. Women who, because of the nature of their work, were often alone deep into the night. At first, people believed it was ritual killers. That was the easiest explanation. But something didn't add up. Ritual killings in Ghana usually followed certain patterns. Often, the victims were known to the killers. They were typically male with specific body parts taken. But these killings were different. The victims were, from all indications, strangers. They were all women, and most of them had been strangled. Even though parts of their bodies had been mutilated, it didn't look like internal body organs were actually removed and taken. So there was no clear ritual pattern, no clear motive, just confusion. And the killings continued for a while. Year after year, the police had no answers. Fear began to spread across the country. By the year 2000, the frustration reached its breaking point. Thousands of women, including the then First Lady of the country, took to the streets of Accra, dressed in red. They were demanding answers, protesting what they believed to be the police's inaction. Because at that point, it became clear this wasn't just random violence. Something, or rather someone, was hunting women, and they were getting away with it. The country was on edge at that point. And when people are afraid, they start looking for explanations. Soon rumors began to spread, quietly at first, in homes, in taxis, in marketplaces. People started whispering, "Oh, be careful where you go at night. This is not normal." Some believed it was a secret cult operating in the shadows. Others said powerful people were involved, people who needed human lives to sacrifice in order to maintain their wealth and power. And the scariest part, no one could prove any of it. But also no one could ignore it either. And with every new body that was discovered, the stories only got louder and louder. The truth, however, was no one knew what was really going on. Not even the police. Investigations were slow and often disconnected. Cases in Accra weren't always being linked to similar ones in Kumasi. There was no clear system, no real pattern being tracked. So instead of one big case, it felt like dozens of small, unrelated murders. And that made it even harder to catch whoever was responsible. For years, the killings continued, unsolved, unanswered, until something unexpected happened. The breakthrough came in a case that didn't start in Accra. It started in Kumasi. In February of 2000, a woman named Joyce Boateng was found dead in Kumasi. She had been strangled, just like the other murders. But there was something different. Unlike the other murders, this time the police had a suspect, her boyfriend, a man named Charles Papa Kwabena Ebo Kwanzaa. At first, it seemed like just another tragic domestic violence case. But as investigators looked closer, things began to click. Charles Kwanzaa wasn't new to the system. In 1998, he was convicted of rape and spent some time in James Ford prisons. Between 1987 and 1990, he did some time again in Nsawam prisons after he repeated another rape offense. In 1996, he he was convicted of a robbery and served a prison sentence in Nsawam Medium prisons. Charles had a documented track record of escalating crimes and their subsequent convictions. He was no stranger to the Ghana prison system. Now, after Joyce's death, once Charles had been apprehended for killing her, he was sent into interrogation. What exactly happened in that interrogation room, no one truly knows. But by the time it was over, he wasn't just talking about Joyce anymore. He was talking about other women. Many women. Women from Accra. Confessions that would shake the entire country. According to investigators, Kwanzaa admitted to killing multiple women, strangling them, one after the other, for years. Police said he revealed details, things the public hadn't been told, details only the killer should know. And for many people, that was enough, because it meant he had to be the one. The Accra Strangler had been caught. Or at least that's what people believed. In 2002, Charles Kwanzaa was put on trial. He was charged with multiple counts of murder. And in court, his earlier confessions became the center of the entire case. He was found guilty and sentenced to death. For many people, this was closure. Finally, an answer. Finally, justice. But then everything changed. Not long after his conviction, Kwanzaa, like the gentleman who spoke about last time, took back his confession. He claimed it had been forced, that he had been beaten and tortured until he said what the police wanted to hear. And with that, doubt crept back in foremost. Because if his confession wasn't real, then what was? And if it was true that he actually had details nobody else should know, how did he get access to that information? Was he truly the man behind all those deaths? Or was he simply the most convenient suspect in a case the country desperately needed to solve? To this day, these questions still linger. The story of the Accra Strangler isn't just about one man. It's about fear. About how a nation tried to make sense of something it had never seen before. At first, people went to what they knew, which was ritual killings. Because that's what they knew and understood. But the reality was something unfamiliar and maybe even far more disturbing. Because it meant that evil didn't always come from secret societies or dark rituals. Sometimes it could come from just one seemingly normal person walking among everyone else and getting away with it for years. Even today, many of the murders from that time remain unsolved. And while Charles Kwanzaa is still in prison, the full truth of what happened in those years may never really be known. And that's what's truly unsettling.